Import Exchange International.
So Grant, sadly, Dickie Betts from the Allman Brothers passed away just last week, and I love to watch their videos with him singing "I'm a Ramblin' Man."
Yeah.
And then for some reason I kind of thought of your life, you know, because you rambled around the world on cruise ships for, what was it, 20 years?
22 years. Yeah.
22 years rambling around. And then you came to me and you said, a couple months ago, you said, you know, you're learning, and you've learned, and we learn every day. We learn something new, don't we, around here?
Sure.
But you've learned how to restore the internal parts of the Hammond organ, but you thought you'd like to learn how to play it a little more, you know?
Yeah.
And you might be a virtuoso on saxophone and some other instruments, but the organ is not your primary instrument. I heard you playing the piano, and you can play. You can play at least that one song.
I could. There was a time when I could.
Yeah. So today, what we want to do is show people how to play along with the video that the Allman Brothers made with Dickie Betts singing. We're not going to use that video right now. First, I want to explain to you the basic principles of how to do easy play along.
Yeah.
You know, they used to have easy play music where they had the chords, the melody, and so forth, and people just went from the chords. And back in the day, they used to have fake books, real thick fake books with 1,000 songs, and professional musicians used them. And it was just, that's all they needed. So for this, basically playing along, and this is kind of like for beginners. So when Bill gets a little closer, we'll talk about some of the principles of the 1-4-5 numerical system, where you can use the numerical system in any key, and this helps to transpose from one key to the next. If you can think in terms of the numerical system, 1, 4, and 5, for example, like in this key, it's in the key of G. That's what Dickie Betts was singing in. So you have the 1 chord, which would be a G major. You have a C chord. You have a D chord, and then you have an E minor. Now, the E minor is what we call the relative minor, but it's also called the number 6 chord. Now, you learned all this in college when you got your music degree, right?
Sure.
But so I'd like for you and I to explain some of these principles. We want to make it easy for people to learn how to play along with the stars, with the easy play along method that we're trying to show folks. Yeah. So Grant, Bill's over here now, and if you could explain to the good folks watching kind of like what we just said, that way I know you understand what I just said, and they may or may not have heard, but it's always good to repeat things, you know.
Sure.
So why don't you just give a brief overview of what we're going to attempt here?
Well, Jim's been talking to me about this for a little while. I had said to him a few months back that I would like to get into playing the organ, because I never really played organ. I went to music school and I played lots of different woodwind instruments, and I had to learn to play piano, of course, but I never played with a 2-manual organ and foot pedals and stuff like that. It is a different animal, but Jim said, well, I have just the thing. I've gone through and built a method called Frozen Finger Method that he offers as offered as DVDs, but I think he'd send a copy to anybody that's interested.
Actually, it's that's available from gospel musicians on a streaming basis.
Oh, okay.
If somebody comes in, they can have one for free, and lesson 1 is on our YouTube channel. That'll get them started. Mainly, that teaches you the chords.
Yeah.
In fact, all the chords you're going to play here now is on the first lesson of the Jim Huss Frozen Finger Method. So that might help you if you're not familiar with chords. But these same chords and this same method can be used if you're a guitar player, a keyboard player. But ultimately, if you're playing on a Hammond organ, each of your fingers can literally represent a musical instrument in an orchestra. Your wife's a professional cello player, so they might have 12 or 15 people in a small orchestra playing different and of course they get to be how many, 60 people in a song?
Yeah, 60, 75.
Yeah, but you could call 12 people a small orchestra, would that, or an ensemble?
Yeah, it would. Yeah.
Yes.
I don't think they would use the term orchestra necessarily because it is quite small. But there is a chamber orchestra size, which is maybe 25, 30 people.
Okay.
Something like
well,
that.
even a smaller group of people like that can be represented by each of your fingers and your feet. So if you use all of your fingers, and then ultimately we're going to start with 3 fingers, Grant. We did a little talking about this before, and Grant hadn't gotten used to the frozen finger concept, and he was playing some of his 3-note chords, and as we know, it takes 3 notes minimum to make a chord. But if you train your fingers to, like the frozen finger method that Grant's trying to get used to now, then that leaves your little pinky finger available to add an octave. So that's like bringing in another musician. When you're playing on a Hammond organ, instead of playing just 3 notes, you can easily add the octave. So your thumb and your little finger are playing the same note an octave apart. Mm-hmm. So we highly recommend, as you're starting to learn how to play chords on the keyboards, that you start and go to the frozen finger method where I explain it in detail, but we want these 3 fingers, not these 3 fingers, not an assortment of fingers, but these 3, so that you can add the octave easily. So why don't we try this song, Grant, and we'll get Bill to come up and do a close-up of the sheet chord chart here. And I need to get into a spot where I can point out the chords. Or maybe you can just point to the chords as you progress with your left hand.
I'll probably screw it up if I do that.
Okay.
If I'm trying to look at the keyboard and point at things.
Okay, well, start practicing and I'll come back and we'll start again at the middle, at the beginning. I want to have something to point with. Here's something to point with. Okay, Bill, why don't you come up a little closer, focus on Grant's fingers and the chord chart, okay? So, this is a song made famous by the Allman Brothers. This is an educational video, Grant, that we're trying to teach people to play along, and then once they learn this process, we can show them how to get a chord chart from Ultimate Guitar, which is a great website, and then later on, maybe in another video, once you've practiced, okay, we'll turn on this TV, go to YouTube, find Dickie Betts singing. And they already probably had a Hammond organ in there with him, but you can add the Hammond organ in. And with this chord chart, anybody who plays keyboard, preferably a Hammond organ, or even guitar, can do the same thing that we're about to demonstrate with you playing almost for the first time, okay? And I know you struggled with the frozen finger method, but that's okay. If you make a mistake, just keep rolling, okay? Because that's what happens. You just keep rolling. Now, we're not going to try to keep up the tempo with the original artist or anything. If you have to stop and start over, that's okay, all right? And I'm going to make my singing debut. The first time out of the shower, so to speak, just to show people that anybody can sing along and you don't even have to have a classically trained voice or anything like that. And you can eventually, we want to get another video with you singing and playing. Well, let's just start at the beginning and do the basics, okay? So we're in the key of G. The first chord here is G. And then we'll go to an F and back to the G. Okay, so, and then don't go to another chord until it's designated, all right? And I'll try to follow along and point to the chord. I'll be just above it, okay?
Yep.
So play a G, I'll get the key, and hold the chord. Turn it down a little bit. Okay. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4. Lord, I was born a gambling man. Hold that chord. Trying to make a living and doing the best I can. 1, 2, 3, 4. But when it's time for leaving. I hope you'll understand. Hold that chord. I was born a gambling man. Now we're going to go to verse 1. My father was a gambler down in Georgia. 1, 2, 3. My father, the wrong end of a gun. And when there's down the leaving, I hope you'll understand. Lord, I was born again.
I lost my place.
So did I. So did I. Okay, let's start right here again, okay? That's going to happen. That's going to happen. Verse 1. 1, 2, 3, 4. My father was a gambler down in Georgia. He wound up on the wrong end of a gun. And when he ran was leaving an open bus and bus, and I was born a gambling man. Okay, I didn't get those words right, but you get the idea. Lord, I was born a gambling man, trying to
No,
I messed
stay
up.
on the G.
Trying to make a living and doing the best I can. And when it's time for leaving, I hope you'll understand. Lord, I was born a gambling man. Okay, we'll leave it at that. Now, let's go back to the verse and I'll try to get the words right, but I want you to use your little finger to catch the octave, okay?
Mm-hmm.
You cool with that?
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna start right here, verse 1. Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3, 4. My father was a gambler down in Georgia. He round up on the strong end of a gun. I was born in the backseat of a Greyhound bus, rolling down highway number 141. Okay, that's enough. That's enough to give people a feel. Now, soon we're going to ask you to come back and sing with me or sing by yourself and include a left hand. You've got 4 notes up there. We might even have you play 2 notes with 1 key, like throw in a 9th. You know, sometimes your thumb can hit on the first tone of the scale and plus pick up the 9th just by playing 2 notes. Mm-hmm. And we'll talk about sustained fourths and all kinds of stuff. But I wanted to give people a chance to see how much fun they could have playing along with famous people on YouTube, and this is basically how it starts. And I thought this would also be a great way for you to learn how to enjoy playing a Hammond B3. Now, Grant, this is one of the finest B3s we offer. It's available for sale. You might want to think about buying it yourself and taking it home, but short of that, let the good people know it's still available. We'll conclude now. Grant, I thank you for your help with this video. We appreciate you. Bill, show folks around a little more, and thanks, folks. God bless you all. You can learn how to play along with the stars watching YouTube using Ultimate Guitar to get the chord chart. Grant, you need to show people when we come back how to determine what key a song is being sung in, because then you have to get the right chord chart to match up to the original artist. And these are all details that we'll continue to teach, but thanks for your time and attention. Thanks for watching our video, and thank you also for helping keep the Hammond Tone Wheel B3 organ alive. We couldn't do all this work that we do here without you. And it would also help greatly if you could subscribe, like, ask for notifications for when we have new videos. That would be a big help for us. So we thank you once again. I'm signing off for now, but we will be back.